Okay, well, good morning. My name is Meghan Chinn. I am our North Carolina Music Educators Association Tri-M Chair. This is my first year in this position. Thank you for spending the time today and coming on your Saturday to learn a little bit more about Tri-M. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. Since it is your Saturday, I'm trying to make the best use of your time. So let me get into present mode here. Okay, so like I said, my name is Meghan Chinn. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am your NCMEA Tri-M chair. Okay, so one of the first questions I saw on the registration form were a couple of people asking for a little bit more information on the benefits of having a Tri-M chapter. So I'm just going to go over very briefly the four biggest ones that I feel are your benefits. The first one is that it's the only National Honor Society for specifically musicians in the nation. So you are given that opportunity to really give your students a leadership opportunity in your school through your program. Also, NAFME keeps it very flexible as far as what Tri-M chapters can do and what they can't do to mold your program needs. NAFME has a very good understanding that my school is totally different than Chase's school in terms of what we do, when we can meet, how much money each school has, what the student demographic looks like, etc. So there's lots of flexibility on what you can do for your chapter, which is nice. The benefits of that outweigh the time commitment as the advisor. So as the advisor, your time commitment as far as the basics are having your chapter induction ceremony, filling out the paperwork for your chapter, ordering the supplies, and doing chapter meetings, because as the advisor, you attend chapter meetings as well. But the benefits is in terms of your students being able to perform more, lead in your community, serve in your school, and also get the chance to be in this National Honor Society is definitely worth the time commitment. So let's look at some renewal information. This is for anybody that is looking to do a Tri-M chapter, whether your school already has a Tri-M chapter, whether your school does not have one, and this is your first time looking into one. This is the information that all chapters need. So your Tri-M chapter will expire on June 30th of every year. So regardless of if you signed up in August or if you renewed in December or if you renew in May of 2022, it's still going to expire on June 30th, which is why I always say to get onto the renewal process as soon as you are financially able to with your program, because the longer that you are an active chapter, the longer you can experience the benefits for the 2021-2022 school year. Renewal fees are currently $100 every year. I do not believe that's changed in a while, and I do not foresee NAFME raising or lowering the price anytime soon, but they could for next school year. It's just something that's up to the national Tri-M members and what they decide. But for this year, it is $100. And then the membership renewal form is online on Tri-M's website, which I will show you a little tour of the website today. Susan is going to throw it into the Zoom chat as well. It's just a PDF form that you can fill out and mail with the $100, or you can email me. My Tri-M email for NCMEA is tri_m@ncmea.net. And I can send the form to you. I know sometimes when you download forms on Zoom, you might lose them after the Zoom is over. I'm guilty of that. So if you need it, just email me and I'll get it to you. So in terms of what you need to do after you pay the $100, there are a couple of things that I like to point out that I think are very important for advisors to know. So first thing is that NAFME itself does not ask for individual member fees from your students. They only ask for that $100 fee. However, you can ask for individual member fees up to $35 per student. So for example, if you would like to have financial assistance or a startup fund for your chapter, you can ask each student that is getting inducted into Tri-M for up to $35 to help pay for certificates, pins, service projects, anything that you might need, or to just cover that $100 fee at the beginning of every year. After you renew, it is required that you keep just a roster of the names of your local members, and you just keep that in whatever record works well for you, whether it's digitally or in a Tri-M binder, whatever works the best for you. You do not have to turn those into NAFME, but every single year, whenever you fill out the activation form, they do ask for how many members you had in your chapter the last year or the last active year that you had. So that is helpful for you to have on record so that you can fill out the form easier. And then lastly, you need to decide on your local requirements for student eligibility. So NAFME has set that TRIUM member students must be enrolled in at least one music class for at least one semester, have a 2.0 GPA in their core classes and a 3.0 GPA in their music class or classes, and be of strong character. One thing that I really like to point out about this is last year, obviously with COVID, there is a very strong possibility that you may be in a situation where a lot of your students did not perform academically like they would have in a normal year in terms of grades. So TRIUM does have a rule where you can change these eligibilities either to lower the GPA requirement a little bit or to raise the GPA requirement a little bit if you want to go on the other spectrum of that as well. You are totally able to do that on your local chapter. You just have to get principal approval for whatever you decide. So for example, I teach at Greene County Middle School, and a lot of our really high performing students did not perform on paper very highly because of our lack of access to internet during virtual learning. So I lowered the GPA requirements a little bit looking at last year's numbers for just this school year and got principal approval. And then probably next year, since we're in person, I'll go with NAFME's guidelines of 2.0 in their core classes and 3.0 in their music classes. So these are the 6 steps that you need to know if you're looking at activating and renewing. I'm just going to give you all of the basics today first, and then I'll open up for specific questions. So the first thing is, obviously, if you are watching this video, if you are here in person right now, you are looking to be the advisor, or you already are the advisor. But you can also decide if you would like to have a co-advisor, which I always recommend for people that are a little bit worried about maybe the time commitment portion. Or if you work in a school that might have a band and choral position or band, choral, and orchestra position, that way the students are not just filtering all in from chorus. If you are the chorus teacher and you're losing out on some band students or anything like that. Also, if you have another person that's a music educator in your school that wants to be involved, it's always helpful to have the co-advisor if they would like to do it. So decide if you want to be the sole advisor or the co-advisor. Then fill out the chapter activation form and send in the $100 fee. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks for NAFME to process that and get you your certificate back. Then review the advisors resources tab on the National TRIUM website. We're going to look at that in just a second. Select your candidates that you want to invite to your induction ceremony and have in your chapter. Think about appointing officers. We will also talk about that briefly in just a moment. Hold your chapter induction ceremony, and then once everybody is inducted, that's when you then hold your first chapter meeting. So once again, I mentioned earlier that NAFME is very loose in their guidelines as far as what you should and should not do with TRIUM. So with officers, it is very much encouraged that you have a slate of officers, but you can add officer positions as you feel meets the needs to your program, or you can take away some, but the basic ones that you should have would be your president, your vice president, your treasurer, and your secretary. But even that is negotiable based off of what your school looks like, what your chapter numbers looks like, and what your situation is itself. Okay. So I want to go over some service project ideas that you can do during COVID right now. I know some of us are in-person school, some of us are hybrid learning, some of us are completely virtual schooling. So these are some things that you can do regardless of what situation you're in right now. The first thing would be doing some sort of virtual choir, band, or orchestra performance with your TRIUM students. You can also pull in students that are not in TRIUM for the service projects. It would just have to be that the service projects are mostly led and participated in by the TRIUM students. So for example, if you teach high school and you have this first semester that you're trying to start TRIUM, and you have freshmen that have yet to be at the school for a semester, so they cannot be in Triumph quite yet. They have to join in the spring. They can still join you for the fall activities that you do, as long as your Triumph members are also in there doing the service project as well, which is a great recruiting tool for Triumph as you are building up the numbers for your program. I have seen people do virtual talent shows in terms of a different virtual event where maybe it's not just singing or playing instruments. They might do skits, they may do dances, other things like that. And a great way to tie in your officers or give them yet another sense of responsibility is actually having them edit the video themselves for whenever you stream the performance. They can help manage social media pages if they are of age to run something such as Instagram or Facebook. That kind of runs into an issue with me teaching middle school, but if you teach high school, you'd be fine. And also having parent approval or principal approval for them to help run those pages. So I have seen other chapters where they might run an actual Triumph chapter Instagram or Facebook, and the officers are in charge of that. Or they might take pictures during marching band competitions or choir competitions and post them to the school's social media pages. If your school has a website, or if you have a particular website for your program, they would help manage that as well. And they love to do stuff like that in the day of age of social media anyway. Another thing would be to write a letter in support of music education. NAFME sends out calls for letters all the time in our emails, whether it be in preparation for Hill Day, or we're writing to senators about some specific situation, or you might want to write to your local school board or something for funding. There's always different ways that they can write letters in support of music education, and advocacy is a huge part of Triumph. So that would definitely count as a very much acceptable service project. I've seen chapters create learning how-to videos, such as how to put together your instrument, how to play chords on guitar, how to use your diaphragm properly while singing. And it also doesn't have to be music-related videos, but those are some ones that I have seen posted throughout different Triumph chapters in the nation. You can also collaborate with your feeder programs on virtual lessons or mentoring. So in my county, I'm going to be working with my feeding high school on them giving some virtual voice lessons with my students. And we are actually combining together to do a Triumph virtual choir. And they're going to come and do little videos and practice tracks and things for my middle school students. And they love to have that responsibility and opportunity. And then lastly, there's virtual volunteering opportunities that are on NAFME's Triumph website. And it's a whole list of things that are music related and things that are not music related that you might find are helpful for service projects in your chapter. So I'm actually going to get out of the slides for a second and show you a couple of things on the website. So the website is linked under a document that Susan is going to send in the chat. Susan, if you could send that right now, actually, that would be great. But I'm also going to email it out to all of the lapsed chapter emails that I have and current chapter emails that I have. So that will be sent out in an email from me next week as well. But on there, it has the website right here, some of the other links I'm going to talk about today, and all of the links that I feel are very helpful to you as a potential advisor. So the first thing is the advisors resources page that they list on the Triumph Music Honor Society website. This pretty much gives you a guide of exactly what you need to do. And it also shows different places where there's leeway for what you can do for your chapter that's not required, or they give you suggestions for things that you can do that are not mandatory but may work for your program. So I find this page to be super helpful. It gives you all of the duties that you are to fulfill as the advisor. It also gives program guidelines here that you can click on, getting your chapter started in the new school year. So if you have any basic questions about that, all of that information is linked through here. And you can also email me if you have any other specific questions or if you need guidance on anything as well. So that's the advisors resources page. You would just go to the Triumph chapter website, click advisors, everything is right there. There's also an educator frequently asked questions page, which I think is helpful for you if you are starting a chapter for the first time. All of these I've clicked on before, so I'm unclicking now, but just kind of shows some different questions that you might have and save you some time by answering it for you there. But the one I want to show you is the virtual volunteering opportunities. So with the virtual volunteering opportunities, it shows things such as writing a letter, adopting a student, starting a book club, transcribing Zoom lessons, those how-to series for creating videos. But then down here, they have actual hyperlinks for organizations that offer virtual volunteering opportunities, online databases that contain those opportunities. So once you click on that, it will bring you to a whole link of what this is, if it's music related, if it's not, what it's about, what you could do. So for example, you can translate TED Talks, or you can give online tutoring. Your students can teach another teen how to tutor in some situation. You can do online music tutoring if you want it to be more music focused. You can do things with social change. So they give you a good different variety of things that you can choose to do based off of what mission you're trying to accomplish with your chapter. So then going back to the slides, I met with some other music educators in the nation during our NAFME Triumph rally that happened a couple of weeks ago. And they were throwing out just different ideas that they have used in their Triumph chapters that worked really well for them that I would not have thought of. So I took some of the list of things that I thought were super helpful and just incorporated them into our presentation today in case it gives you any more ideas. So one of the first things that somebody said in a different state was that they collaborate with other chapters in their county, either for virtual performances, or they combine chapter meetings sometimes and bounce ideas off of each other. They'll do social and emotional learning activities together on Zoom, or they will combine and do community service projects if they live in a smaller county, which I thought was a great idea. I've seen that they do instrument demonstration nights for 4th and 5th grade students, especially for junior Triumph. They'll go to the elementary school and show them, this is how you put together your instrument. This is how you make a sound on the instrument, sort of like an instrument petting zoo. With COVID right now, I don't really know how feasible that would be, but that's a great idea to have for the future. You can have your students create recruitment videos for you as to why to join chorus, band, orchestra, etc. And they can edit it completely themselves. That way you can give those to your feeder programs. And I have seen the person that I work with in Greene County at my school actually had her students make those instrument petting zoo videos rather than going to the elementary school. They showed them, this is how I put together my flute. This is how I make a sound on the flute. And she had a whole video of them putting together all the different instruments so that the students could see. One idea that was not music related was to paint pumpkins and place them around the school. I've seen people will help decorate for homecoming or other events like that and collaborate with other organizations within the school and just offer assistance. So there's really nothing that you can't do in terms of a service project. There is a point system that somebody shared that I thought was a great idea for receiving honor cords, especially since you teach high school in the Zoom right now. The pink honor cords, it's kind of up to you on how you would like to award the honor cords to the students. Some people just do, if they were in Triumph for a certain amount of years, they get the honor cord. Some people will do, it's based off of if they were an officer or not. Some people will do, it's based on their activity level. So if you're looking on activity level, there is a document that I sent Susan that she'll put in the chat that is somebody's point system that they did. And basically they have to get 100 points every year that they're in Triumph in order to earn their honor cord. So she has very high expectations for them in terms of wearing that honor cord. That way they're not just taking Triumph and being in Triumph for the honor cord, which sometimes happens. Instead, they're actually really working for it, which I thought was a great idea. So that template will be sent to you too. That way you can just kind of get an idea of what some other people are doing. In terms of dues, one idea that I thought was great was somebody does $20 for new members as far as new member dues, but then every year they're in Triumph again, they do $15 for returning members. She said that she lowers the price a little bit because it's the most expensive when you have a new member because they get an invitation, they get a certificate. You can choose if you want them to get a pin. So those things are all things that cost money. So you can kind of look at what you would like to give them. Do you want to give them a formal invitation or not? Do you want to give them a certificate and a pin or just a certificate or just a pin or all of the things. And that can really help you decide if you're going to have a certain amount of money for new members. So for returning members, that $15 goes towards their service projects, which I thought was a great idea. Some other ideas that I heard were to nominate an artist of the month for your school. And it could be somebody in any of the music programs. The students run it, they decide who gets it. They nominate people for artists of the month. They take a picture of them and they have a whole bulletin board that they've created to highlight the artist of the month and why they chose them. I thought that was awesome. Talent shows, either virtually or in person. Tutoring is always a great idea. I heard of a buddy system. So this was a middle school teacher who said that she has her 8th graders that are in Tri-M team up with 6th graders and mentor them, whether it be mentoring them through their instrument and helping them get into Tri-M, mentoring them with learning some music or learning, some literacy, and basically trying to help those 6th graders get into Tri-M after their first semester, along with just kind of settling into the school. And that could work well with upperclassmen and freshmen too, if you're on the high school level. Having a canned food drive concert is great. Staff appreciation events are totally acceptable. You could make goodie bags. You could do birthday singing for staff birthdays. You could make thank you notes. Kindness week, where students would write messages on candygrams to pass out to different students or to different faculty members. And then lastly was a community cleanup. So some people clean different roads or highways. Some people will do the school grounds after a football game. One of the advisors is also the marching band director, and he was saying that his whole marching band would stay and help clean up the stadium just to help with the grounds and everything. Or after a storm, whether it be snow, hurricane, etc., there have been many Tri-M chapters that help clean up the community after storms as well. So you see here that all of these different service projects can either be really music related or kind of music related or not music related at all. And the director of Tri-M activities for NAFME has said that all of those different activities are 100% acceptable. So if you want to start with things that are maybe not as music related because they're a little bit more tangible right now due to COVID, that's absolutely fine. They just ask that your students are participating in service so that they're growing as leaders. So lastly, before I open for any questions, this is everything that I want you to know as far as NCMEA's Tri-M. I will be running all of these pages. So we have NCMEA Tri-M on Facebook. You just type in that title and you can like and follow the page. I will be posting there throughout the year for different chapter highlights. So if you ever do a great service project and get pictures of it and your students are approved to be posted on the internet, you can always send them to me and I will highlight your chapter. We will do different activities during Music in Our Schools month that will be posted on our Facebook page. And then everything that's posted on our Facebook page will also be posted on our Instagram, which is at NCMEA_Tri_M. That way you can see all of it. So that will be posted there too. And anytime we have events like this, like a Zoom information meeting or something at conference or any sort of NAFME Tri-M information meeting that I feel like would be very beneficial to membership, I will be posting about those a lot on these pages and on the stories and whatnot. So please do give those a follow if you have Facebook or Instagram. And if you could please type your school email address in the chat, I will add you to our current email list of people that are interested in Tri-M or that are active chapters. So if you have yet to renew, I probably don't have your email yet because I've so far get all of my emails from NAFME. So lastly, now's the time for questions. If you have any questions or any specific comments or anything, please do share them.
So I just recently started at my school, and I know that in the past there was a Tri-M chapter at the school.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, what is the best way to go about this? Would it be restarting the whole thing because now it's me as the sole music teacher, or should it be a renewal? How would that work?
Oh, that's a great question. So what you will do is basically once a school gets a Tri-M chapter, you are assigned, that school is assigned like a Tri-M chapter number. So
Okay.
since somebody before you already started the chapter, all you have to do is renew. And on the renewal form, you will just put your name as the advisor, and they will put all of that into their system. The nice thing about that is every year when you renew, no matter whether it's restarting or renewing or just completely starting from scratch, NAFME will send you like a packet of different information on what to do from there. So they basically treat every renewal as if you are creating from scratch, just in case you are a new advisor. Okay, so
Gotcha.
you don't have to say to them, this, we don't have a chapter, or there's been a lapse in time. You just renew and they put your name down.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions for me, Chase?
Um, I don't think so. I'm seeing the links that Susan posted in the chat, and there's just the activation form that I'll fill out. And then there's the links that are helpful. I really like that point sheet system, because
Yeah.
that was one that I was thinking about for the honor cords. I was never in high school a part of, or in grade school a part of Tri-M, but I know of others that have been a part of Tri-M, and I was like, that's something that I definitely want to do at the school. And then when I saw like blank certificates saying like my school, and it's like Tri-M certificate, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we have a chapter here.
That's very similar to how I found out with mine. I found little Triumph pins and I was like, oh, I guess we did have one before I worked
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
It was like a very long time ago.
yeah. I
So
don't know how recent it was renewed, because I know last year with COVID stuff, it was a lot more strict at my school than it is this year. So
right.
I don't know if it was renewed last year, but trying to get that up this year. But other than that, I don't think I have any questions. If I do, I will definitely send an email to you.
Yeah, please do. Any help that you need, especially since you are completely restarting in what sounds like a new position this year, please feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to help. I'm very much in the same situation as you at my school. So if anything, we can figure it out together and find a solution.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
well, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I won't keep you. I know it's your Saturday. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you so much for coming today and getting some information for your students.
Yes, thank you so much, Megan, and thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Have a good day.